I want to go on to an area where we've lost a lot of lives over the summer. As you know, because we've kept the virus at bay, there hasn't been a death from coronavirus, from COVID-19 in Australia this summer, but there have been 74 drownings across this nation. We've got to do better at water safety. I'm joined now by Bruce Hopkins, known as HOPPO from Bondi Rescue. Thanks for joining us, HOPPO. Really good to hear from you. The numbers are staggering. 74 lives lost. Now, this is in swimming pools, rivers and oceans, but we don't seem to be doing any better at this.
No, and it gets frustrating. You know, I've been a lifeguard now for 30 years and trying to reduce this. And the other thing, it's very high this year, but we've got to remember there's no international tourists here either. So everybody that is drowning are Australian born or they're living in Australia.
Because we've had problems in the past with people coming from overseas, language difficulties and no familiarity with some of our rules at the beach and swimming between the flags and whatnot. And as you say, we've got a domestic audience here still not getting that message. It's deeply worrying. Do we do enough in schools? You can walk us through the flags and how to spot a rip and you can give us a good education on that. But shouldn't our kids be getting this every year at school?
They should be. It should be legislated where it's in the schools. And our campaign now is Float to Survive. And if you float in any waterway, you will survive. And even the ocean, the rips pull across from the rip onto the sandbank. And 90% of the time, you'll be able to save yourself. So we've got a massive campaign out there. If you can float, you will survive.
So rather than fight against the rip, we've been through this before, don't fight against the rip, float. You can conserve a lot more energy floating and raising a hand to make sure that just someone knows you're in strife.
That's right. You know, if I'm going to go rescue someone, if you can only float for 3 seconds, there's a good chance I'm not going to get there. But if you can float for 2, 3, 4 minutes, there's a good chance someone will rescue you. But, you know, I think we need to teach that. We need to teach that through all the schools, adults and education, and I think that's where we need to go, and I think the floating is the best way to do it.
Now, where are we taught that now? A lot of kids will go to nippers and they'll get this education. A lot of the reason the parents take them there is to make sure they get that water safety knowledge. But do any schools teach this now? Is it part of the curriculum anywhere, or do we have to start from scratch?
Yeah, I mean, there's not many schools do it. There are some that do it. But I think we need to go back to the drawing board and start again and re-educate and bring the floating in, get the kids in the water, get them back in the water and to experience the floating and experience. You know, I used to do it when I was a kid at going to school. You used to have to put your clothes on, jump in the pool, float, dive down, pick up the brick off the bottom of the pool. You know, they're just basic skills. And we've been teaching kids now 1 year old and they've been able to float, roll over on their back and float. 10 by 10 minute lessons. And it's been working. We've been doing it at the beach. I megaphone people to float, go with the current, and then they stand up and I have to rescue them. As soon as they try and swim, I've got to go in and rescue them. So they tire themselves out and get exhausted.
Now, what about the pandemic? What impact has that had on swimming lessons, water safety lessons, nippers and the like over the summer?
Oh, it's had a massive impact. Obviously, you know, people have lost jobs. They haven't got the amount of money to send the kids. A lot of places, you know, over the COVID period, you couldn't get into the pools. They were all locked down. So, you know, nippers as well. Nippers have to reduce the amount of people they can have each Sunday down the beach. So it has had a big impact on water safety. Thanks
for joining us, mate. Enjoy the rest of the summer.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Chris.
That's Bruce Hopkins, who's a surf lifesaver. As you know, many people know him from Bondi Rescue. It's good advice, isn't it? I would have thought, talk to your school. If you've got kids at school, talk to them. Make sure you got that lesson coming into your classroom every year. Kids need to learn it. They need to relearn it every year. 80%, 85% of this country lives near the coast. We've got to do better when it comes to educating little people about water safety.